we are basically about ready to start the opening ceremony of the 10th edition of the International Master in Public Procurement Management. And so with great pleasure and pride, let me give immediately the floor to our Director of the Department of Economics and Finance at the University of Rome Tor Vergata, under whose umbrella this master has been created, Professor Vincenzo Atella. Professor Atella, I leave you the floor.
Okay, thanks Gustavo, and good morning to everybody. It's really a pleasure to see so many people connected from so many places around the world. This is something that, really makes me happy because, we really like to have this international environment in our university and especially in our department. I will be very, very brief, and so that you can start discussing about serious stuff. Let me start saying that, of course, it's a pleasure and an honor that, for me to welcome you in this opening ceremony. It really makes me happy. I feel some feedback. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So as I said, in our department here in Tor Vergata, I think we have been sort of pioneer in this sector, even when public procurement was rather, sort of obscure discipline, which was mostly relegated, to few specialists. That was more like a sort of, research problem. We know today the importance that procurement in government is well acknowledged, and in many ways, I would say that it also constitutes the lifeblood of government programs and services. The primary objective of public procurement is basically to deliver goods and services necessary to accomplish government mission in a timely, economical, and efficient manner. And I think that in order to achieve these missions, government must have access to right capabilities, capacities, and product. And in order to do this, they had to, rely on people often civil servants, but in many cases they are also, helped by private people from private sector through public procurement processes. And of course, the impact that all this type of activity has cannot be limited to the public sector alone. The role of government as a purchaser has the power to influence or even create new markets. And there's also the potential to become a key tool to leverage innovation both inside and outside the public sector. This has been very well acknowledged by the OECD expert, and is something that is usually recommended. At the same time, we should remember that public procurement activities are executed using taxpayer money, which is clearly a very sensitive domain. And therefore, especially for this reason, it must be carried out efficiently and using the highest standard possible in order to safeguard the public interest. So it is exactly for this reason that over the last 15 years here at the University of Rome Tor Vergata, and especially in our department, we have played a role of excellence in training in the field of procurement, which we believe we have accomplished quite well. And if we consider that this is the 10th edition of the International Masters, there's been 231 degrees awarded, a total number of scholarship around 250. So those are important numbers, and the number of students which are enrolled in this 10th edition, it's 31. So important, very important numbers. I don't want to take more time, but let me also thank all the institutions that have collaborated with us over the last 10-15 years, in particular the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, but as well also the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Treasury, and the many other institution that over time has made possible for us to develop this type of program. I will then, I think that for me, it's, I've said already too much. And let me just say that I will really hope you will have you know, a very nice and constructive day. I know that the speaker today, Tommaso Valletti, our colleague in the department, and it's a brilliant research in this sector, and I'm quite sure that he will be the right way to start this 10th edition of the International Master in Public Procurement. Thanks very much to all of you, and hope the best for your next month spent in this master.
Thank you so much, Vincenzo. Thank you so much, Professor Atella. I will have a chance during my opening speech to put into the right light the immense work that the Department of Economics and Finance does for this program, and how helpful and critical it is to receive such cooperation from the department itself. Okay, so I would say that it's time now to go to the second part of the event, which is the opening remarks. And so I will have to leave the floor to myself for the customary welcome to all. So let me just start. Authorities, Head of Department, Professor Vincenzo Atella, colleagues and guests, students, welcome all to the opening of the 10th International Master in Public Procurement Management edition. Most of all, welcome 10th University of Rome Tor Vergata IMPPM generation. You joined this program from all over the world as important ambassadors of your country and of your culture. And it's the greatest gift you could bring to us. We are honored to have you here to enrich our history and our diversity, to push us further with your high degree of professionalization in our constant drive for improvement. This 10th IMPPM generation is a special day. It's a day where we welcome those like you who have just arrived, but also a day for remembering those that you joined today, the incredibly diverse and every year larger family of those who have walked, studied, laughed, listened, raised her or his hand, asked questions, passed exams, graduated in our traditional and now also virtual rooms for the past 9 years, including those who did it this morning, defending their thesis as their last step as IMPPM 9th edition students. Many of them I see here today present to pass the torch, to pass the baton to you symbolically, but today also formally, as you will see later on. And let me say 9th edition IMPPM, our most sincere congratulations and deserved thank you for what you have done for yourself and for building our reputation and upholding constantly our values. Last year's edition, your edition, thanks to your presence, thanks to your active and enthusiastic presence, was tremendously enriching for us here at Rome Tor Vergata University. Now I go back to you, dear 10th edition IMPPM generation students, to remind you that they are all here. All the 9 generations that came before you, believe me, even if you don't see them all, they're all here greeting you, welcoming you, encouraging you. As Professor Atella just said, 231 graduates from 44 countries and more than 160 public institutions. We know this because we keep in touch and they never leave. That is why they have decided to maintain their friendship, memories, and drive in the Alumni Association of the International Master in Public Procurement Management, together with the students of our twin Belgrade program, a total of almost 400 alumni. We know why you are here. We know what you have sacrificed to be in this master. We know about the families, the friends, the working colleagues you have started to leave behind for this more than 4 long months to come. We know of your investment, of your bravery to exit your comfort zone and go back to quote unquote school, as they say. In the words of one of the students that we had the privilege to interview for this edition, she said to me, I want to prove that I am alive, to show my daughters that I am a good student, not just a mother or a cook. It takes courage. And it takes trust in us. We are very aware of it, and we will work hard to deserve this trust that you have put in us. But let me stress very clearly, what we will do for you is just a part of the recognized quality of this program. The history of those almost 400 students who have earned this master says clearly that this program will be successful for you if you take it into your own hands, if you make it become your own adventure, which started a few days ago with the first social corner at Sergio and Friends. Thank you, by the way, Sergio Benetti, and your first module, building the team and approaching the realm of negotiation skills. If you create from this incredible patch of diverse people that you are, coming as you are from so many different countries, different backgrounds, different histories, a united team of students who will share knowledge, who will come to the rescue of one another when needed, who will spend time together enjoying it while studying, then yes, it will be a successful program for you. So many different countries. You join us at a dramatic, challenging moment in time. Distance-wise, war is not far away from any of our nations. But you being here together in these times is not a puzzle. It is a big part of the solution. The word that goes around these days is peace. And yes, there is obviously so much need of it. But I would say that what you show by this choice of yours is the precondition for peace. The love for dialogue, for sharing, for mutual understanding, the positive curiosity for what is different from you, all things that have strongly emerged during the interviews with you, and that make this IMPPM adventure in the eyes of all of us so much more than just an investment in professionalization. Obviously, in the end, you're here because of public procurement. And again, during these interviews, I have asked you, don't you think that procurement is, as they say out there, a bit boring? And you all have had the same reaction, just like past generations at this question. You laugh, you smile, you then become serious and you say a big no. And then you go on explaining why. The answers are every year always different, but they share the same belief, which is also our belief, that little secret that we know, but that we are in the process over time of letting everyone know about. That procurement, how we intend it, is not the calm tranquility of a daily job, of a daily routine, but that procurement can be a revolution, to use a word that is often used by my colleague at an extraordinary other university, Nottingham University, Sue Arrowsmith, which can change the life of the people for the better, amplifying opportunities and tackling inequalities in society. Indeed, we share this belief. We do believe that good procurement is at the center of stage of social justice, as our great teacher and colleague, Chris McCrudden, that you will have, reminds us often so aptly, that the word value in that expression that we use so often, sometimes so much that we forget its true meaning, value for money, embeds the notion of supporting through procurement each nation's ideal as framed in each one of our constitutions and in our daily democratic debates. A great power, the one of the procurer. And with a great power, as usual, a great responsibility. How do we go for handling such responsibility? Our strong belief is that procurement is a work you do in team, a team made of people with different competencies. These three pillars, team, interdisciplinarity, and knowledge, define the content of our IMPPM program. We are convinced that with this approach, we have changed over the years the content of university programs in procurement and started a silent but tremendously important reform of the profession. No more simply related to studying the procurement law and to following its rules, always important, but meant to exercise competent discretion, subject to precise, also data-based accountability, and ultimately deserving ample rewards. The European Commission published some years ago its recommendation on public procurement professionalization, where one can read these at the time revolutionary words, and maybe sometimes still revolutionary. And I quote, "Human resources in procurement must have the right qualifications, training, skills, and experience needed for their level of responsibility. This means securing experienced, skilled, and motivated staff, offering the necessary training and continuous professional development, as well as developing a career structure and incentives to make the public procurement function attractive and to motivate public officers to deliver on strategic outcomes." Nobody could put it out better. Let me state it again. Here at Tor Vergata, we don't just welcome this approach. We believe that we at Tor Vergata and other few universities all over the world are responsible for this change by having created over time a fantastic lobby, a lobby for change of hundreds of graduated professionals, change aimed at societal impact. A change that has required and still does require, to begin with, a commitment on the part of various individuals and institutions. It is those that I wish now to thank also on your behalf. So my first thanks goes to Professor Vincenzo Atella, Head of Department of Economics and Finance at the University of Rome Tor Vergata. His presence here today is a strong reminder of the constant institutional support Tor Vergata has given to all initiatives related to the procurement arena, ensuring, among other things, the excellency of the teaching infrastructures, material and immaterial. You will spend 10th IMPPM generation these 4 months virtually within the walls of the Faculty of Economics of the University of Roma Tor Vergata that you see behind my shoulders. The true walls are truly beautiful walls that we treat with care, as I hope you will be able to discover in person. We do truly hope to welcome you here one by one this next July to celebrate our 10th year anniversary with so many representatives of previous generations and of your teachers at the end of our 7th Global Procurement Conference to take place on July 5th and 6th in the beautiful traditional setting of Villa Mondragone in Frascati, preceded on July 4th by our Alumni Association workshop. then I say a loud and strong thank you to EBRD for its incredibly generous support all over these 10 years. And thanks to Jan Jackholt. Jack brought with him innovation, vision, passion, when he suggested to me more than a decade ago by now that we should move further with no further delay in making capacity building finally a reality and not a stale word in the mouth of policymakers. Today, his intuition and Tor Vergata's willingness to commit itself 100% in this joint venture are making our dream larger. Always a dream, just a little bit larger. I also want to thank Evgeny Smirnov and Marita Iyayi from EBRD for their effort in making Tor Vergata and EBRD partnership stronger and successful every year. The dream was also made possible by the commitment of another man full of passion, Guido Paolucci, whom I wish with Jack to recognize for his contribution in setting up IMPPM. Let me also acknowledge with great pride the generous financial support for 3 students from Africa we received from African Development Bank this year. We are honored to welcome today Frank Mvula, Director of Fiduciary and Inspection Department at AFDB, to whom I will leave the floor in just a bit. Thank you, Dr. Mvula. AFDB presence enlarges the cultural richness of our capacity building project for us all, students and teachers. Let me also thank an IMPPM friend like Ashraf Ayad from African Development Bank. I am honored to say also that the University of Rome Tor Vergata with its IMPPM program has decided starting last year to entitle 1 permanent scholarship in memory of Issa Modi for procurers coming from ISDB countries of operation. We hope it will be that small step that will follow on Issa's giant initial visionary step, not to abandon his dreamed path of effective capacity building. I thank Amir Ghani Mir from Islamic Development Bank to be with us today to acknowledge the Tor Vergata scholarship to our 2nd recipient for this year. Now, dreams do not travel far on their own. They travel on the shoulders of some giants, without whom we would never be able to see further ahead. These giants have names. They are unmistakably connected with our efforts and successes. Annalisa Castelli and Velko Sikirica. I also wish to thank, if he's here, and I would like to leave him the floor, just to say a brief hello, my dear friend and colleague, Bata, Professor Dobrosav Milovanovic, Director of the Belgrade program, who I believe is here today. So Bata, if you're here, please materialize.
Yes, I'm always with Tor Vergata.
Ciao. Give you the floor to say hi.
Dear students, dear professors, representative of authorities and donors organization. It's a great pleasure to be with all of you today. Unfortunately online, but I hope in July we will meet in Rome, as Gustavo mentioned, with all those generations in the last few years that couldn't come, but we hope it will be possible this year. First of all, I really would like to congratulate University of Tor Vergata for Jubilee 10th generation, and this is really a great success, especially to establishers, to those that develop this program, to get so much quality which is needed in these complex times. Because as you know, we several years live in a very difficult times, unpredictable and extremely complex world where the problem is not lack of information. The problem is to pick up the right information, to make decisions in a very fast time and with a good quality. As you mentioned, value for money is crucial. And we saw during coronavirus how difficult it was to make this kind of decisions. And such times requires professionalization. Extremely creative civil servants who have interdisciplinary knowledge and skills, who know how to use modern methods and information communication technology, who work as a team, especially in the field of public procurement. And during its existence, Master Program in Rome has proven that it meets the highest quality standards and has significantly improved the institutions that conduct public procurement around the world. There are many evidence of that. I will just tell you two. First of all, even those students with previous experience in public procurement, which was even for few decades, learn a lot. Their eyes were shining after your program, and they really got what they need. And employees that are international or national recognized this diploma as something special. And this is very important for you students. It is not just international program, it is something that really has its value. And this impression is coming also from Belgrade. We are also celebrating half of 10 generations. This year it is 5th generation. And at the end, dear students, I wish you all the happiness and success. You will be exposed to something completely new, and you are also going to contribute to next generation with your proposals, which is very important. That is one of the methods of working at Tor Vergata. On the other side, I also wish professors to continue to present to students a reliable lighthouse of knowledge and creativity in turbulent times. See you in Rome in July. All the best to all of you. Thank you.
Dear Bata, thank you so much. Let me go on for this wonderful and reiteration of our friendship. Let me go on to finish my speech. And let me just remind you that the team of IMPPM is obviously strengthened by the great ensemble of teachers of the master that you will get to know every week, alternating in class. Their contribution is obviously fundamental. We will today acknowledge them by listening to Isabel Rosa, a tremendously renowned international professional in the field of digital procurement. Let me also say how delighted and honored we all are, like Professor Atella said, that Professor Tommaso Valletti, distinguished economist, has accepted to address you today the traditional important moment of the honorary lecture, which will take place in a few moments, linking the concept, reminding us of the importance of a topic that will be covered in many modules, the ones of competition. As I said, dreams do not travel far on their own. So let me thank again let me thank clearly our fantastic staff, Maria Cristina Cerri, Simona Arippo, and Antonino Zappulla, but also in Belgrade, Liliana Maric. I do this with Bata, obviously, together. These masters, Bata will agree, would be powerless without their gracious, expert, and solid commitment. And also to your representative 10th edition, the tutor, Alice Castro, who will, I am sure, leave the same positive trace that previous tutors have left. Again, my thanks goes to the Alumni Association, represented here today by Anadi Al-Nabulsi, the third and current president, who so much has done to strengthen the ties among all of us in the past year with the support of the board members of the Alumni Association, and to the newly established Strategic Committee and its prestigious members who help us in tracing a vision for the future of the two masters. In our endeavor, we are continuously proud to benefit this year too from a steady support from multilateral institutions, the EBRD Special Shareholder Fund, CEI Central European Initiative, and the Italian Ministry of Economics and Finance, the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, whom we will listen later to with a brief video message from Councillor Andrea Cascone, all the international financial institutions and multilateral development banks that support the master by participating in it. Let me finally say how honored we are today for the presence of some diplomatic authorities. And I see here the ambassador in Jordan and the chargé d'affaires of the Jordan embassy in Italy, Mohammed Al-Shabar. Thank you for being here. So once again, IMPPM 10, you're very, very, very welcome here. Mind you, this is the last time I will say you. From now on, it's going to be we. Even when we are going to close ourselves at the end of each module to debate together how you would improve this master for the next year, IMPPM 11th edition, just as the 9th generation has done for your program of this year. We, because your successes always will be our successes, as the expanding reputation of the program is showing. We, because also our successes will always become yours for the rest of your life. You will have on your CV posted that little line, graduated at the Master of Tor Vergata in Public Procurement Management, and you will have a keen interest, even 20 years from now, in making sure, mostly through the Alumni Association, that we keep up the good work and do not tarnish the reputation established. So welcome, and now with great happiness, Jan Jacob, I leave you the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And it's an absolute joy and honor to be here for the 10th anniversary of the Master. For me, it's fantastic event. Yeah. And I'm going to be fairly short. I'm not going to talk about procurement. You are going to have a fair share of dose of procurement both today and obviously during this year when you are going to be with us, when we are going to be we. But I just want to say a few words, and that is to start with, my dear friend Gustavo Piga, to start with, obviously, to Gustavo, to Tor Vergata, to the whole faculty, to the whole university, a great thank you so much for 10 wonderful years. So that will continue, I'm sure, for many years. It's an absolute joy and honor to be allowed to work together with all of you. And with that, I'm not, let's say, I'm also obviously including my friends in Belgrade, Bata, the whole university, all of those with you who works to bring procurement in the forefront of public administration. It's fantastic, yeah. Now, for those who have had the, I don't know if one should say pleasure, but you have been having to endure me over the years when I'm saying something at these occasions. You know that I like to refer to some specific topic, rather than procurement during this. And frankly speaking, again, as we know, Gustavo and I, we have known each other for many years, and we think very much alike. And one thing that he was saying during his speech is exactly what I wanted to refer to. And that is that you are part of a solution. And what I mean with that is not that you are part of a solution to bring procurement to the forefront, because we know that you are. You are part of a solution for your respective governments to ensure that you are bringing in value for money in the public administration. We know that. But I think it's the soft side which I would like to emphasize. You are part of a solution in the wider context. You are from all over the world. Men, women, different religious beliefs, different backgrounds, different color. And I think that that is really what I would like to home into. And for me, the key word is a word which unfortunately I see is getting more and more a rare commodity in the world, and that is respect. And I just wanted to ingrain that respect, because for sure, after having spending so much time together, sweating over books, thinking about your theses, etc., etc., you are for sure going to be ambassadors for respect of each other during this time and forever. And I wanted to take a few words which are being brought by much wiser men than me to reflect on what respect is. So to start with, what does it mean? Respect means treating everyone and everything with care. The golden rule is to treat others the way you would like to be treated. And I'm sure my dear friend Yevgeny is going to know exactly who has been saying this. Respect yourself and others will respect you. Confucius. Yevgeny likes Confucius. Everyone should be respected as an individual, but not idolized. Albert Einstein. Respect is a two-way street. If you want to get it, you got to give it. Now, I don't know if you know him, R.G. Risch. Tolerance only for those who agree with you are like tolerance for only those who agree with you or are like you is not a tolerance at all. And responsibility and respect of others and their religious beliefs are also part of freedom. And this one for me is very interesting because that was said by my previous boss in EBRD and the president of EBRD and also president of Germany, Horst Köhler, which I had the pleasure of working together with for a couple of years and got to know him a little bit. So he was the one saying this. And also very important, from the moment I could even understand what respect was, I knew that this is not a choice, but the only option for the future. Then, of course, it's the one that we don't like, the bad respect. Nothing is more despicable than respect based on fear. Now, I just wanted to bring those words to you today because of putting it into a context what we are doing. We are professionals. You are all professionals. During this time, you will be called students. Enjoy the time, feeling like a student again. It's very, very nice. I hope that you will find time to come together. I really hope that we will meet up in May and see each other, have fun together, enjoy time together. But I also know that even when you are going to be on screen together, you will have a lot of fun. So, oops. Now you all disappeared from my screen.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I had some virus program which came up. Probably someone wanted to censor me. Anyway, so with that, I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you. I'm sure you will have a fantastic time. It will be hard work, a lot of grief, but a lot of joy. And you are going to be very, very good friends, I am sure, after this time, which will stay friends forever. And with that, looking forward to see you all later on in the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jack, for these very, very important words that you had for all of us today. Frank Mula. Frank Mula, please, I give you the floor. Once again, we're extremely honored to welcome you here. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Professor Piga. And first and foremost, on behalf of the African Development Bank, I would like to sincerely thank the University of Tawageta for this initiative, which is a wonderful initiative for building capacity for procurement professionals. It is against this background that at African Development Bank, we have committed to supporting the program. And I would like to say thank you to my colleague, Jack, who has always been reminding me of the service that we need to provide in order for us to continue building the capacity for the students, especially from the African continent. And the department that I represent from the African Development Bank has a dual mandate. The first mandate it's a fiduciary mandate. In this regard, we make sure that the resources that the African Development Bank provides to its member countries are used for the intended purpose. The second mandate that we have is a developmental mandate. And within the context of the developmental mandate, we all look at procurement as a strategic function. And having that paradigm shift of moving procurement from what it was regarded to a strategic function, we can only achieve most of the issues by having properly trained and qualified professionals. It's for this reason that I thank the University of Tawageta in undertaking this initiative. Secondly, I would like to speak briefly on what African Development Bank would like to see in the near future. I would like us to see probably develop partnership with the University of Tawageta and some institution on the African continent, so that together we can maybe even train more people from the African context and see how best we can build the capacity in the African continent. I do not want to take much of your time, but before I conclude, I would like to also take this opportunity to thank the university for the scholarship that it is providing in memory of our dear departed friend, Issa. Issa was a very good friend. We worked with him very well together with Jack and the rest of the colleagues. And it is against this background that I would like again to thank the university for the scholarship that it is providing in memory of our departed colleague, Issa. Finally, I would like to thank all of you as students. I look forward to one day having some of you join the African Development Bank after completing your program. So let us keep in touch, and I look forward to seeing how the capacity that is being built in Tawageta and Rome will be transformed also into working for African Development Bank and providing the developmental mandate in training the regional member countries on public procurement. With these few remarks, I would like to wish you all the success, and let us keep in touch. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, Dr. Mvula, for opening up, not just for today, but for the future, a great road of cooperation for us and for the students. It's been very much appreciated. Thank you. And you've obviously opened up very nicely the floor for the next moment of the event before we give the floor to our honorary guest, which is the recognition of the Tor Vergata Scholarship in memory of Issa Ide. I'm delighted to have here Amir Ghani Mir, Manager Project Procurement Division, Office of the Vice President at Islamic Development Bank. And Dr. Mir, I immediately give you the floor. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gustavo Piga, dear faculty members, professors, and the staff of the Tor Vergata University. I think it is my pleasure to have this opportunity talking to you, to the students of the 10th batch of the International Master Program in Public Procurement Management. I think it has been a short journey for me since my colleague, former colleague, Brother Issa Ede, who left in service of his duty. He passed away while he was in a meeting in his office. In terms of his commitment, dedication, and the services he has rendered to the public procurement is well recognized. I'm so grateful to my colleagues who continue to support his memory in terms of giving a dedicated scholarship to one of the students who joined this program. I'd like to highlight that this public procurement is a noble cause. I think you can only see the impact. We have $13 trillion of public procurement done every year globally. If you can save 1% of it, it will cost saving billions of dollars, which can create impact on the life of the very poor people. So what I would like to suggest that you should live by evolving needs of the countries in terms of the public procurement. It cannot be a fiduciary role. It is a more critical strategic role where you can make a lot of difference by applying yourself, your ability, your thinking, your knowledge, and coming up for a solution in public procurement, which is in the large interest of the public as well as the government that you will be serving. I'd like to highlight a few areas where you can focus going forward. As we need to build the country system, I think right now each institution is imposing their own public procurement demands, needs on the member country, which is very challenging for some of the countries to deal with the multiple donors. I think we are thinking in terms of working together, building the national procurement system of member country so they can do it better for their own resources, what they have, but also effectively utilizing the fund the donor provide in terms of implementation of the development project. The second more critical transformation which is happening is moving toward an electronic public procurement system. We have seen the evolution fastly taking place in many of the member countries. Reliance on the technology has brought the transparency, efficiencies, and improved the governance. I think this would be one of the areas where you should think. Secondly, we look only on the procurement when we procure a thing in terms of the cost of the procurement. I think this is not the way in future procurement should be done. Impact of the procurement should be when you see the life cycle use of this equipment, and then you can see in terms of the operation maintenance, how better solution you are bringing it to the countries based on your expertise, your knowledge, and looking at to the market and the evolving technology. I think the most critical in the procurement is how successful and the better outcome you deliver for your beneficiaries, bringing the solutions which are more appropriate, cost effective, but also it has the larger benefit and it is fit for purpose in terms of the requirement for this. I think challenges in front of us is we have large numbers of member countries which are facing the challenges of the conflict, fragility, and especially this, the COVID has learned us no country was spared because of this global challenge. How we manage, continue to serve our countries to the people who are in urgent need of health services, the medicine, and the basic need. I think this has given us a lot of learning that we can work despite all these challenges and still try to help the poor people who are in need of these services. I think just a few thoughts in terms of the students to you. I think for me, it is a noble profession, a unique in nature, demanding and requiring a hard work throughout your life. It should be your lifelong learning in the procurement. It cannot be once you graduated, you have learned anything. You need to keep in touch, update yourself, do different procurement, different areas. You will always find each case as unique and also distinct and learning opportunity. I'd like to wish all the best to all of the students. And my suggestion is to have the passion to learn, to be always ambitious in terms of your aspiration of learning and try to make a difference in the life of the people you will be serving. On behalf of the Islamic Development Bank, I'd like to continue to support this initiative, which is very rare initiative where a master level professional program in the public procurement is being delivered. We have huge shortage of the professional staff. Even for me, I think we just advertised the third time to recruit a professional in our office in Uganda. We cannot find an appropriate professional who has the higher level of qualification. So I would like to wish you all the success in your program, but my suggestion would be when you leave your impression and the living legacy for the student who will join you after this, they can follow and on the footstep of yours as the leading students of this institution, which can make their mark on the profession in their professional life. So with this, I'd like to all of you to be a very successful years with the Tor Vergata University and have the successful outcome. And once again, I would like to thank my colleague, Jack and Frank, for continuing to be part of this initiative and support you from every aspect. So we'll be part of this journey, whatever way we can contribute, but definitely I'd like to reassure Islamic Development Bank will stand by this program, which is critical for not only the multilateral development institution, but building the capacities in the countries that we serve. So with this, I'd like to thank you all and say goodbye to you. Over to you, Mr. Gustavo Piga. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mir. This year, the second recipient of the Tor Vergata University Scholarship is Mr. Nurul Islam from Bangladesh. Nurul, are you here? I don't know if Nurul, I'm sure he's here.
Here. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Piga, for this scholarship. May I speak something?
Just say yes if you want to say a word, for sure.
Okay, thank you so much. Respected Director, Department of Economics and Finance, respected Director of International Masters in Public Procurement Program of University of Tor Vergata, Manager Procurement Division of ISAIDA, Honorable Director General for the European Union, DG GROW European Commissioner, faculty members, IPM 10 edition students, all other present in this great opening ceremony. Welcome and good afternoon. It was my one of the best dream to have International Masters in Public Procurement degree as a public procurement professional. I would like to start my speech by giving my heartiest appreciation to our Professor Gustavo Piga because of his great effort for you all and we, my classmates, have been able to join this prestigious master's program. Thank you, Piga, once again. I would like to appreciate the very straightforward and strict module for then straightforward code of conduct we have maintained during the program. We are to hard work, learn a great deal, make important friendship, and extend our professional network through our experience with International Masters in Public Procurement. I am proud to be a part of this IMPPM program X edition. I would like to thank the authority to provide me ISAID scholarship. I knew previously little bit about ISAID. Today I confirm that it's a great program, and I will try to make myself to utilize this scholarship in a great manner for my country. Thanks a lot for you all.
Thank you so much, Nurul. Thank you so much. And you will have the opportunity to also introduce yourself in the second part of this opening event. Thank you, Nurul, and congratulations. And thank you for choosing IMPPM. And now it is the moment for me, a great pleasure to introduce the speaker of our honorary lecture, Professor Tommaso Valletti. The title of the lecture, I remind you all, is The Role of Economic Analysis in Competition Policy, What Happened to the Digital Economy. Tommaso Valletti is Professor of Economics at Imperial College in London, and also Professor of Economics at the University of Rome Tor Vergata, currently on leave. He's a non-executive director to the board of the Financial Conduct Authority, and he was the chief competition economist of the European Commission between 2016 and 19, when he led the economic analysis on many large mergers. Let me just remind you a few: Deutsche Börse with London Stock Exchange, Microsoft with LinkedIn, Siemens with Alstom, but also state aid and antitrust cases. Again, just a few to remind you all: Google Shopping, Google Android, MasterCard and Visa. He was a member of the board of the central purchasing body in Italy, CONSIP, the Italian Public Procurement Authority, where I had the pleasure to become his friend and colleague and learn so much from him. Tommaso has a magna cum laude degree in engineering, and he's a fantastic flute singer. He has a flute diploma from Turin. He holds a Master of Science and a PhD in economics from the London School of Economics, and has published vastly in the field of industrial economics, regulation, and competition economics. And I am delighted on behalf of the University of Rome Tor Vergata and IMPPM to welcome Tommaso, and extremely grateful of his acceptance. And I leave him immediately the floor. Maybe there could be some minutes after his speech for a few questions from the floor. Tommaso, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gustavo. It's a real pleasure to be with you, at least online for today, but we hope to be in Rome very, very soon. So it's a real pleasure because, as Gustavo said, I have a long association with the University of Rome Tor Vergata, and we've been knowing each other for about 20 years, and we did some interesting work in the public procurement as well. And what's important, I think, in what I would like to tell you today, and obviously I come with very special lenses of an economist, and that's what I am, but I'm also an academic economist who's interested in a public policy, which is something that we all have in common. And when you do public policy, you realize that you need different subjects working together. So it's really in the spirit of the master that you are embarking, the IMPPM, that you will see that how important multidisciplinarity is. You really need economists, I hope, otherwise I wouldn't have a job, but you also have to work with the engineers. You also need to work with the lawyers. By doing some work with Gustavo in the public procurement, we understood how important the legal constraints actually are. You also need to talk to logistics experts. You need to talk to supply chain experts. You need to understand the political situation. These days, we understand how the geopolitical situation is incredibly important to understand how markets work, and so because we see the consequences. So it is, in a sense, through my personal experience as an economist, I would like to tell you a little bit about what I've done as an academic that sometimes likes to do public policy. Now I'm back into academia. Ultimately, I like doing research, but it's important also to see how this experience allowed me to reassess now and then also some of the priors that as academics we have. So we really want to make sure that academics bring a framework, but the framework we bring has to be also analyzed vis-a-vis the market realities and eventually help and sometimes reassess some of the priors that we had. So I'm going to share with you my screen. I have a very short presentation, nothing particularly technical at all. I hope you can see it. Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, Gustavo. So the role of economic analysis in competition policy. So I will get to public procurement by the end of my short speech. But first, I'm going to talk about what I know best. So that's what I do now, which is competition policy. And why do we do it? So I'm in Europe, and in Europe we have a legal framework. A legal framework, antitrust economics comes into three areas, and this is where economists are going to be involved, as I said, alongside lawyers, the industry experts, and all that stuff. There are three main areas in competition policy, and you should try, as you listen to this, to make your analogies when it comes to public procurement markets. So one is antitrust proper. So this is where, as an enforcer, as an authority, you want to make sure that there is no illegal behavior. And there are some articles in the European treaty. These are Articles 101 and Article 102. Basically, cartels are illegal. So if you have deals, and again, think about the analogies in a public procurement. This is something you cannot do. And if you're found, you're going to be sanctioned with heavy fines. So cartels and anti-competitive agreements are not legal. And there is also something which is more difficult to prove, but very important, which is abuses of a dominant position. So for instance, Gustavo mentioned some of the cases I was involved in. There is obviously very dominant companies, and size as such is not bad, but abusing of a dominant position is something which is illegal. So the cases that he mentioned, most notably, I can think of different cases against Alphabet, which you know as Google now. So Google is a very large company that obviously has a great product, but then when you come with that size and you impose a contractual agreement to manufacturers of mobile phone, or you start to exclude from your search results your rivals, this is something which is anti-competitive. So there's a big pillar which is antitrust. Another pillar is mergers. I'll get back to mergers when it comes to the digital economy. So companies merge in order to achieve size and efficiencies. However, when size becomes too large, probably those economies of scale have been exhausted, because otherwise, say, the former Soviet Union would have won everything economically because they decided to invest everything in super large plants. And obviously, at some stage, the economies of scale are exhausted. So you are really want to be very careful that by merging, by acquiring potential rivals or actual rivals, the real intention of that acquisition is just to increase market power to the detriment of consumers, so making prices going high and having less innovation. The last pillar that where historically economists were less involved, but with the pandemic, it has become really a big area of application of our efforts, is state aid. So Europe is perhaps different from the rest of the world in that we do want to help our companies, but not in a way that distorts competition. So we can give some aid to companies, and during the pandemic, of course, the financial distress was huge. But again, you have to do it in a way which is compatible with the workings of the single market. If you just give an advantage to your company, to your Italian company, say, but this becomes to the detriment of a French or a German company, this is not something that would be allowed under the current rule. So these are the three pillars. And why do we do it? Why does it matter? So it's not just because, sure, there is a law, but the law doesn't come out of thin air. The law is there because of first principle. And it matters because by having competitive economies, we just make things more affordable for our citizens. So these are figures which are quite staggering that an economist, a financial economist actually at NYU, Thomas Philippon, came up in a recent book called The Great Reversal, when he's analyzing the state of competition in the US and in Europe. He says, if you go hypothetically from a situation with little competition to a situation with more competition, with effective competition, typically the prices of a basket of goods and services paid by households go down between 5 and 10%. So if you go from an uncompetitive situation to a competitive situation, there are direct savings to households. That would be 300 euros per month. That's very sizable in the context of the Italian economy. This would amount to 90 billion euros saved by families, by citizens, by us every year, a very large size. But that's not the only thing. It's only part of the story, because competition, one of the previous interventions said, surely prices are important, but there is more than that. Indeed, prices are important, but also variety of products, investments are also important. And competition, when works well, is also a very powerful force to make sure that companies want to stay inventive, they want to stay hungry, because a big risk of monopolies is that monopolies become, fat cats. They just want to prevent everyone else from entering in their own markets. They sit on rents, but these are not good things for us as ultimate consumers overall. So for instance, again, if I take what Thomas Philippon finds for other economies and adapt to Italy, there would be further benefits to the economy by having further investments in a competitive economy in the range of 150 billion per year. And then there is even more. And that's a wider debate, I would say, but good competition, because resources in our economies are not distributed equally. It's not that we have shareholders which are diffuse. Companies, especially companies with market power, are owned by selected people. So the more the bigger companies become monopolies, the more unequal society becomes too, because basically the economy is concentrated in a few hands. So on the contrary, the other side of the coin is that if you manage to make sure that the economy is more competitive, basically There is more trickle down because some of these rents have to be passed on via higher wages to workers, and also you cannot have a buyout or something, which is very common in some economies which are too financialized. So there are many positive aspects from having, if you do it well, of course, a competitive economy, and that's why we want to do it. That's why then we have those three pillars of antitrust, merger policy, and state aid. But it's really foundational why we want to have that. Let me get to digital now. So digital, very successful during the pandemic. We've seen how dependent we are on a handful of companies, but there are also different sides to this story. And one of the purposes of my very quick chat with you, of which I'm honored to be a part of this inauguration today, is also to let you think and reflect that things are sometimes a little bit more complex than they might seem at first. So when I think about digital, the commercial internet, so to speak, it's something that started in the mid-90s until now. So we have 25, almost 30 years. And the first decade was incredibly successful in the sense that there was really lean and hungry firms. They were innovative. They were bringing, these are just a bunch of young guys in Silicon Valley in the mid-90s. And these are the years also when many of the names that we all are familiar with came along, the Amazon, the Google, the Facebook a few years later. And perhaps, I wouldn't say not surprisingly, there was also, you are very young in the audience, but the last antitrust case that were running in the United States was against Microsoft in the mid-90s. And then the United States didn't do much, or didn't do anything at all for 25 years. And so Microsoft was the giant in the mid-90s that was about to conquer all the rest of the digital economy that was starting up. And for instance, Microsoft wanted to block competing web browsers, competing media players. And so the antitrust authorities in the mid-90s decided to sanction Microsoft with some antitrust case that the Department of Justice ran at that time. And that gave oxygen to a new breed, a new generation of entrepreneurs, the Brin, the Page, the Zuckerberg, the Bezos, that otherwise would have had a difficult time in trying to compete against the absolute giant that was Microsoft at the time. But we have definitely a first half of this time of the digital economy that was an enormous success with all the applications, all the products we are familiar with. But then things started changing. On this screenshot, you see a project for a master student of mine from Holland, from the Netherlands, that simply was characterizing how really the graphical interface of the internet changed enormously in the second half of the period. So from 1995 to 2010, lots of competition. But from 2010 onwards, things have changed. And it's already been over a decade. So this is, for instance, if you, obviously the graphical interfaces of some years ago were different and less rich than today. But this is a search for car insurance. There's Autoverts, I don't speak Dutch, but this is what it says in the page there. You're searching for car insurance. And in the early days, you would have lots of so-called blue links. That was the organic search, so good products that the algorithm, the search engine thought was good for you. With time, you see, and the red bit you don't see in the search, it's just what he highlighted. Most of the top results have this ADV or something like this, advertising. These are paid links. These are not organic search results any longer. So what the search engine shows you is not necessarily what's the best for you, but it's what someone pays the most in order to have access to your attention. So there may be a disconnect between a product that should be good for you and what is actually profitable for Google to show you, because Google actually acts by selling, by having auctions. And there you go, in the procurement, you'll be studying a lot of auction, selling the best spot of the attention, which is typically number 1 and number 2. And these have different implications. They're not necessarily selling the best product, but most likely the most profitable product for Google. That's another kind of evidence. This is from 2020, so recent. The narrative that we had for many years is that the internet is just It's a gateway to all possible information. And in principle, it's true. What I learned as chief economist of the European Union is also what may be true for us. We're very specific people. It may not be true for the average person in the market. Most people are not like us. Okay? If I think about my parents, if I think about other people, they behave differently. So you really have to confront yourself with the actual behavior of people. But this is actually telling us that this idea that the internet is a stepping stone to the universe of information. You start from Google and then you end up by serendipity anywhere. And in principle, it's a possibility, but it doesn't happen very, very often in a practice. 2/3 of the clicks are what's are known as zero-click searches. Zero-click searches, it means that you start the search on Google and you stay on Google. You don't go anywhere else. Okay, so you stay there. You stay there because Google has already snippets of what you need to know. You stay there. You don't start a journey going somewhere else. So the internet is not as open as it used to be. And this has been for a long time. These are data. These are the market shares on desktops of search engines. And 95% of all the searches we make on our desktops come from one search engine, which is Google. On mobile phone, it's even more, because on mobile phone, if you're on Android, Android is owned by Google, but also if you have an Apple phone, Google is paying $15 billion every year to be the default search engine on Apple too. So there is really very limited scope for competition there. So this is really where you see the dominance is been there for 12 years. It's not something which is of the last couple of months. It's been there for a lot. This is another example. This is messaging services. So messaging services, I'm sure that sometimes you have concern that perhaps WhatsApp is not super secure. A few months ago, there was an outage where WhatsApp wasn't even working. Last year, during the riots in Washington, D.C., there was also an announcement that WhatsApp was changing the terms of service, and lots of people said, "Ooh, we should do something." Perhaps there's also a misconception that encryption was being lost on WhatsApp, which wasn't true, by the way. But people were talking about it, and so people started saying we should download Signal because Signal is more secure. I'm sure you heard that. I'm even sure that some of you downloaded Signal. But then ask yourself, how many of you actually use Signal regularly? How many of you managed to convince all your friends and family? And how many of you managed to change your chats that you have on WhatsApp? And you most likely you haven't. These are the real data on communications again in 2021. And take away WeChat, Weixin, because that's China. China is a closed environment, is a different country, period. But the number one, number two are WhatsApp and Messenger, which is owned by the same company, because WhatsApp was bought by Facebook in 2014, 2016. So Signal doesn't even appear in the top 10 of the actual communication. And the reason is that if you want to send a message from your Signal app to a WhatsApp, you cannot, because they're not interconnected, a point to which I will return. So this is the present situation, the market reality of many digital platforms. I could do the same when it comes to Apple, when it comes to the App Store. I could do the same when it comes to Amazon for e-commerce. The bigger picture is also one where our economies have been changing. These are data I collected with colleagues of the European Commission. So you see the industrial concentration in Europe now, or relatively recently, 2019, as compared to 20 years ago. As you will see, the bars go up in every industry. You have probably, apologies, the size is too small, the font is communication, electricity, transport, finance, mining, manufacturing, but every industry has become more concentrated in the past 20 years. This is a famous, in the mid, you see another diagram, a famous paper in the Quarterly Journal of Economics a couple of years back, Jan de Leuker and Jan Eckhout, they find that markups, that is to say, the ability of firms to price above cost, has gone up dramatically in the past 30 years, since the late 80s. And this is particularly true. There is lots of heterogeneity at the top of the distribution. This is where the large firms with dominance and market power. The small firms don't have this kind of behavior, but at the top you have it. So market power is really endemic in many of our economies. And the last, just to provide you the bigger picture, more profits are being made by firms, which is great for those firms, but does that make us more wealthy? Does that make us, on average, better off? Because these profits can trickle down into higher wages, and this is not happening. This is another historical trend, which is in every economy you can monitor. The labor share, so wealth is being created, and this can go to capital, to labor, or be kept as profits, and workers have not benefited from this increased market power. On the contrary, there is more evidence that workers are faring worse now than they were 20 years ago. So this has generated lots of questions, as you might imagine. And some of the questions when it comes to the digital were related to, well, these companies are super successful, no? There's economies of scale, they have great innovations, great capital, and so they grew by merit. To some extent, that's absolutely true, but we also notice, and that's why it's not a 0-1 thing. You can be big and good, but still do some bad things, right? So for instance, why should Google be allowed to pay $15 billion a year, every year, to Apple to be installed as the default search engine on the only competing operating system, because it's either Android or iOS? And in general, it's fine that people can give payment to other companies, but not if you're a dominant company. Okay? And that was the gist of the Android case. Where the Android case, we also found that, sure, Google was giving the operating system for free to the mobile phone manufacturers, which is in principle great, but in order to do that, they were also obliging them to pre-install the entire suite of Google products on our phones, in a situation where behavioral economics matters a lot, because we typically don't change our defaults. Okay, we don't. People take whatever is pre-installed and we keep it like that. And we found that 99% of the people never changed the defaults that they got from the manufacturer. So antitrust, one of the three pillars. The other one is mergers. There has been severe under-enforcement on the mergers. Some of the growth of the Google, the Facebook came by merit, some perhaps by abuse of dominance, but a lot came from acquiring other companies. In the past 20 years, the GAFAM, that's this acronym which is sometimes used to put together Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft, have bought 1,000 companies. 1,000 companies, and 0 of those acquisitions have been blocked. Now I've changed because December last year, the UK regulator decided to block for the first time the acquisition of Facebook by Facebook of Giphy, you know, this funny things that you may see when you send some messages. It's the first acquisition which has been blocked ever in 20 years. But what's more important to me and what's more worrying is that of those 1,000 acquisitions, 97% of those acquisitions were not vetted by anybody. For various reasons, if you're interested, I can tell you more about it. But clearly, we haven't done a good job. We tried with the fines. Personally, as chief economist of DG Comp, so I was in the lead of the economic analysis. I had some concern. We found companies being guilty. Google alone, for instance, was fined 8.5 billion euros, which is basically $10 billion for on 3 different cases. But we also learned that despite these numbers look staggering for common people like us, they're not really a big deterrent for companies, because these are one-off fines. But you have to put in the context of the business they're making. Google is making $200 billion a year, every year from advertising, and Facebook about $100 billion. So this is clearly something like, it's a cost of doing business for them. So it's not a large amount. What's more worrying is the speed that sometimes the current legal system takes were actually the opposite of speed. It's very slow. The Google Shopping case took 7 years to come to an end. It was started not by me, not even by my predecessor, by 2 chief economists before me, okay? Because of course you want to give time to firms to respond and so forth, but there is something wrong. Merger assessment is faster, but these are top companies with the best lawyers in the world, and they will do anything they can in order to delay the process as much as they can in order to defend themselves. The remedies also. It's something which we realize that through antitrust, we are not very effective. So I can impose you a fine. I tell you, don't do it any longer, stop this conduct. But then companies are very smart. I say, stop this specific conduct, and then they bypass by doing something else that you didn't say explicitly you didn't want. And so you start again. So because of this, oh, sorry, here I mentioned some other important problems that we tried to tackle through antitrust enforcement, but we were not particularly successful. One of the biggest cases, the first case I started with was actually a state aid case against Apple. Apple has a system of, a legal system of boxes where they transfer all the European profits into Ireland because Ireland has very low corporate taxation. But then they did something else, another system of boxes that the European Commission thought was illegal. This system of boxes allow Apple to pay, and that's not a mistake, 0.005% of their profits into taxes. So Ireland has a corporate taxation of 12%, which is already low. Italy has a higher corporate rate of taxation. And this became not 12, not 1, not 0.1, but 0.005%. So we ran a case on state aid because that was the allegation that was a deal that Ireland did only for one company. So if Ireland wants to cut down the taxation rate of companies to 0%, that's legal. I think that's wrong because that is really a race to the bottom, but it is a fiscal policy is a prerogative of each individual member state. But here, Ireland is already kind of cheap, but they decided to do a special deal to Apple, and that was anti-competitive because the competitors to Apple could not benefit from the same deal. This case has been appealed. Now Apple won in the first instance, and it's going now to the Supreme Court. An experience that I had is also we were subject to tremendous lobbies in Nebraska and in Washington when I was going to the US. So lots of problems, but also some answers. And this is going to be my penultimate slide. So here you have an array of things that we are doing using traditional tools. So that's great. Thinking about economics, the traditional tools are available to us. On the top right of the slide, you have ex-ante regulation. So in a sense, we dealt with some of these problems in other industries before. Telecoms comes to mind, electricity, railway. So network industries have lots of economic characteristics which are similar. They are not super competitive, but if you think about cell phones, mobile phones, prices are pretty okay. Investments are good. They adopted 3G, 4G, 5G. And what was the key in that industry? In that industry, the key was, well, think of yourself. If you want to change the contract of your mobile phone, you just change your SIM card, right? You change your SIM card and you can call your friends. You may have, I know you're in Italy now. You may be on Telecom Italia. Your friend is on Vodafone, but you can talk to each other, no? There is interconnection. If you change your contract, you are able to keep your numbers, right? You keep your contacts, you keep your numbers called number portability. So that was a way of regulating ex-ante, not waiting ex post like antitrust. So ex-ante regulation that allows externalities to be preserved. Externalities are efficient in this case, but they don't accrue to a single firm. Going back to the example I told you earlier, Signal and WhatsApp, the problem there is that if you are on Signal, you cannot communicate with WhatsApp. If you are on Signal, you lose all your contacts on WhatsApp. So, and that's clearly not what's happening with your cell phone, which is a great example. So, Ex-ante regulation is now happening, which is great. In Europe, we have something called DMA, the Digital Markets Act. It's been discussed by the European Parliament. It's going to be approved most likely in 2022, which is exactly trying to import this set of ex-ante competitive rules to give competition a chance. There is an equivalent in the US, there is an equivalent in Australia, in South Korea. Even China has adopted a very pro-competitive ex-ante regulation of digital platforms, which is very interesting. So it is important that we don't need to start all the time. Of course, we want to adapt to the circumstances of the digital economy, but we can import and use some economic concepts which have been proven very helpful in the past, and we can use them without reinventing the wheel. For mergers, again, this is where I appreciate also the legal background to what you do. For an economist, the burden of proof is not a big thing. We should achieve the same result. It's not like that. Antitrust cases work in the following. In a mergers, for instance, in an operation of an acquisition, it is the enforcer that has to prove that the merger will be anti-competitive in the absence of efficiency. So the first step, it's the first necessary step. If they cannot prove it, then the case stops. But if they can prove it, then there is a possibility of for the merging parties to counteract this by showing that there are sufficient efficiencies coming from the mergers that will benefit overall consumers despite the increase in market power. However, the current system, remember, asymmetry of resources, limited resources to the enforcers, humongous resources to the GAFAM, the situation stops the dialogue on step one, because on the step one, you have all the corporate lawyers, all the consultant economists, all bombarding the regulators saying, we don't have market power. We have Facebook, but there is competition from TikTok. How can you disprove it? So the burden of proof. And instead, this is going back to some structural presumptions that we had in economics until the 80s. And then the Chicago School came with a devastating implication. Go back to some structural presumptions applied only to the super mega firms. I'm not saying apply to everybody. If Google is already so big, why do they need to acquire yet another firm? Okay, they have the resources to do that investment by themselves. If Facebook is so big and powerful, why do they need another acquisition? So you suggest a reversal of the burden of proof. I start from the presumption that the merger which involved a super large firm is anti-competitive. And this saves a lot of resources for the regulators because they don't need to spend 90% of the time on this initial step. And then I immediately throw the ball into the camp of these guys, unless you can prove me. But then you have the data. And also economically speaking, that's an efficient use of information. The companies know what they're going to do. I don't as a regulator. I'm not an expert. So I'm going to say no, unless you can prove to me in a cogent way that unambiguously you need that merger to do something that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do. And this has to produce tangible, positive consumer benefits. This is a reversal of proof, which is a legal concept, which I support very much. But I'm going to stop now with a last slide about public procurement, because ultimately that's what you're interested in. And I want to have a slide because the public procurement is very dear to me. It's not only dear to me, but it's very important. So OECD data is saying that the most recent data for the countries they have data about, 15% of their GDP is spent on public procurement. Okay, this is in some countries it's more, but this is just an average of the countries they have information about. That's massive. That's massive, 15%. Can you imagine the efficiency gains or how beautiful the things you can do if you do it right? If you do it wrong, also it can have massively negative consequences. So why have I not spoken about competition in the public procurement? Is it because it's not understood by the European Commission that it's important? No, because public procurement is often national. So Gustavo mentioned the Italian central unit for procurement, there is an equivalent in other countries. Being national, this is not subject to the EU approach because it would be the national competition authority which is looking at it. So there is a lot of competition analysis. Simply, I didn't do it when I was chief economist of DG Comp because this is something where the EU delegates every single member state in the implementation and the application of competition rules. That's very important. To give you an example, how good economics, smart lawyers can work together, I'm going to give, I go down my memory lane and also Gustavo's memory lane when we were working together in, I think it was 2004 at Consip. At some stage, so the Italian Central Unit of Procurement, he was the chairman of the board and I was a non-executive director of the board. We faced a problem, a very tangible problem. We had to procure all the telephony services for the public administration in Italy. And there were fixed telephones, we were talking about 18 years ago, fixed telephones, internet, on landlines, and mobile phones. So these are related but different products. And there was a discussion, because the first discussion you start with the industry experts, people who do understand how these markets work. And we were listening. And some were arguing, look, we think that there's only one firm, one operator in Italy that can do both. And if they do both, they are going to be really efficient. Okay, so you should bundle them together because if you do fixed and mobile services together, they can benefit from the efficiency. But then you think, if it is only one that can do it, they will not face competition because the others are not able to offer on the bundle. They will be able only to offer separately. That's a problem. So if instead of having a bundled service, we have separate fixed and mobile, maybe the guy who has efficiencies will not be able to win because he has to defeat separately both the fixed offer and the mobile offers, and it may not work. They may make a mistake or whatever, and so those efficiencies that could be generated will be lost. So how do we do it? And some of the industry experts were arguing, I know they will win, everyone, but you don't know, to be honest, because you have less information than the companies. And we as economists, we said, oh, look, according to the literature, there is a way of doing it, which is called a combinatorial auction, which was a terrible term because economists have many advantages, but also many problems. We are very bad at marketing what we do. So the name was very bad, combinatorial auctions. And what's a combinatorial auction? A combinatorial auction is basically a system where you bid on all possible combinations. You make a bid if you win mobile, you make a bid if you win fixed, but you make another bid conditional on winning both. Okay, so it was a conditional offering, and in fact, the lawyers who were actually smarter suggested a different name. So we had an incredibly exciting and useful conversation at that stage with the lawyers who understood that we had a good idea, but how to bring it into practice because the Italian legal system never had that previously, such a system of combinatorial auction. So they really wanted to make sure that also legally running such an auction was possible. End of the story is that we managed to work with the lawyers to do this combinatorial auction, and Gustavo will correct me. I think we saved 800 million euros for the Italian public administration. So compared to the original estimates, it was a massive savings, and the services actually worked fine. So that's a nice example. I would hope we're again working together with the industry experts, some smart economists, and the lawyers, because you need to listen to them as well. You can come up with solutions that are innovative, grounded into serious economic thinking, but ultimately very helpful for our governments. And I'm going to stop here, and I thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
At this point, there would be a huge round of applause if we were, as we will be hopefully very soon, all in presence, but obviously technology allows us to have you here, so Tommaso. We're really, really interesting, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this, which creates a huge amount of questions for public procurers who will have to deal for the next 10 or 20 years with markets that are evolving in directions that need to be forecasted and managed with, especially if we are moving, as it seems we are, especially in key sectors where the public administration matters to greater and greater levels of concentration. I see already 2 hands raised. One is by one of our antitrust lawyers, for sure, in Sweden. Robert, are you in Sweden right now?
Yes, in Göteborg. Yeah.
In Göteborg, yes, that's right. So I'm leaving you immediately the floor. The students will see you very soon with Paolo Buccirossi in the module of competition. But now you have a question for our guest. So I give you the floor. Make it brief so that everybody can ask questions.
Yes, thanks very much for an excellent presentation on the interaction on competition and law and competition economics. And one point which you mentioned there was this issue about competition on the merits, which is of course a very important concept when it comes to abuse of a dominant position. But what I'm a little bit curious about, if you look at public procurement, isn't that also a little bit about competition on the merits? And the question I have is, when I'm teaching on competition and public procurement, I normally tell the audience, if you're going to check whether public procurement law has been fulfilled, check if is there any reason that you won the contract because you have good contacts, then it was a bad procedure. But if you won because you won on the merits, because you had the best product at the most competitive price, then it's a good procedure. So this is your issue, but if you have some idea about that, if this concept of competition on the merits could be something which actually interconnects competition and public procurement. That's my question.
I think, Robert, there is a very clear connection between these concepts. And in fact, in public procurement, obviously, it's an exercise of trying to anticipate what the market will deliver, which is, in a sense, also what you do in a merger assessment. You don't know until exposed, and you observe after the fact. But you really want to make sure that you do a good design of your auction first. So the auction design at first, because that's different from other markets. In procurement, contrary to competition policy, you can design how big, say, the bits and pieces over which you are bidding are. So there's a market design which is not instead available in competition policy. And so you have an extra tool. You can make a lot of regional things, a big national thing. What I was discussing before, do you want to bundle together fixed mobile phones or not, or separate them? So there is a market design issue which is not available in competition policy. But the ultimate goal, I think, has to be, once you decide what is the relevant time period, you want to make sure that the consumer, in the example of antitrust, the user, the buyer, in the case of procurement, over a lifetime, has the best possible product. So that's what we call consumer welfare in economics, making sure that it's not only the price, because consumer welfare in antitrust has been narrowed down to very static price effects. And then we didn't do product variety, we didn't do innovation, we didn't do investments, and this has narrowed down too much the application of the consumer welfare standard. In a similar fashion, in public procurement, you can take the user, the purchaser's welfare standard, and this is something that, if you do it well in the market design, in the execution, it is the public administration over a lifetime that will get, in terms of prices and quality, the best possible option. So there is a very strong analogy. And there's also other analogies when it comes to collusion, when it comes to these other things. But I think ultimately, it's the proper working of the markets is underlying both approaches. You want to have both firms competing well on the merits, as Robert said, but also making sure that there is an ultimate benefit for the users of those products. It's not just about appropriating profits that stay with the companies, because that would not be good for the purchasing organizations.
Thanks a lot. Then I don't need to have to change my course in 2 weeks. I will keep up this approach. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Robert. Nurul.
So, Tommaso, thank you for your excellent presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can, Nurul. Go
So-
ahead.
Perfect.
Okay. We know merger and acquisition is one of the important aspects of supply chain integration. And you know, it's come from competitiveness and rivalry. And usually companies do it due to companies' benefit, not for the customer benefit. But here you told that there is the second player in European Union. They are controlling this merger and acquisition. So for the sake of the consumer's benefit. My question is here, how European Union, because it is usually comes from competitiveness and rivalry of the companies, and for the benefit of the companies itself, not for the customer benefit. How the European Union is controlling these things for benefit of the customer?
So it's another great question. You have to distinguish between the typical M&A acquisition, the merger and acquisition among small companies. That's part of the normal process. Again, an order of magnitude is important. In Europe, every year there are about 15,000 acquisitions. So 15,000. That's the number of acquisitions happening in Europe every year. Of those, 400 go in front of the European Commission. So you see, I'm already narrowing down to a very selected numbers. These are those which are potentially worrying. The other 14,600 are fine. So it's fine. And you want to allow it. It's great. They're achieving scale. They're doing. But the very selected acquisition which are happening at the top, they're very worrying. They're very worrying because they can increase prices, because they can reduce innovation, and we haven't done enough. We have to do more. The other aspect, when it comes to big tech, so you are, for instance, in Asia, there is a lot of incredibly thriving IT companies, obviously, in Asia, and that's great. There are also some good companies in Europe, but until now, the main exit channel for some of these entrepreneurs, or in Sweden, was being acquired by one of the big five, okay? That creates lots of individual wealth. It's great for the entrepreneur, okay? Skype, since Robert is in Sweden, so think about Skype, or think about all the Indian IT companies. So some individuals will become incredibly rich. That's great for them. They have a fantastic life. But have we created a better European economy? Have we created a better situation for the Indian consumer? No, we made the, say, Google ecosystem even more powerful. We have created the Facebook or the Microsoft ecosystem even more powerful, which allows them to make even more money. And does it benefit us as users? Very little. So the new system of regulations that Europe is imposing now, this thing called the Digital Markets Act, makes sure that if you are a European medium-sized company, European startup, instead of thinking the only exit channel I have is the acquisition, if I can be interoperable, I can have data portability, I can have all these things, I can survive on the shoulders of the giants. I can become potentially a real threat. But if you survive, so basically this company stays in Europe, which is great. So ultimately we are responding to our own incentives, and the same should be in the Indian context or in Bangladesh or wherever. So we have our own constituency. So we want to make sure that there is competition which is thriving, and it stays also in our constituencies, because having even another billionaire in Italy or in the UK or in Sweden is great for the individual, but it's not great for the. So this is a system where we realize that having a level. So there are two principles that Europe is applying. One is a principle of contestability. You want to make sure markets are contestable. That's why the interoperability, the interconnection, all these things. That it's possible to become a contender to Facebook and the others, which is good because competition will like it. And the other principle is a principle of fairness. So these companies are integrated. They supply, to give you just a very tangible example, Apple is a great company. Apple also supplies music. There's Apple Music, right? Apple Music, but if you want to listen to some music streaming application via the App Store, for instance, if you're Spotify, you pay a 30% tax to Apple. That's great for Apple, but is that fair competition? No, because Apple is not imputing itself the same 30% tax. And if you take what you've done in other industries, these are problems which are well known. Economists are not very inventive. We don't call it fairness, we call it discrimination, which is a very bad term. Others have tried to call it self-preferencing, but these concepts are embedded into a tradition in economics which come from regulation more than from the competition angle. And these are good principles that we are finally importing in the digital economy. And the reason is not to regulate companies. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to give competition a chance. In a situation where, because of network externalities, economies of scale, behavioral biases, you wouldn't expect competition to work very well. And this is economics 101. Economics works well without externality, without economies of scale, without behavioral biases. But in the presence of those things, some appropriate intervention, and this is what good regulators do, is absolutely warranted. So we are going back to the fundamental principle of welfare economics, and we apply them into these digital markets.
Thomas, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Sergio, thank you, Nurul.
Welcome.
Thank you, Gustavo. Just a small provocative question to you to understand a bit better. But how do you see, talking about competition, especially in the European sense, when basically in the digital world, we see such giant companies which have been created over the years, which for sure do not belong to Europe. And second, I mean, where do you see competition going with such, huge and never seen before in economics, big concentrations on companies? That is a fundamental question. I would like to have your opinion, at least.
So this is an inauguration. So I will say, on a positive note, with the Biden administration, multilateralism is back on track, which is good. So institutions talk to each other. If you take, because US basically stopped doing anything for the past 20 years, but with Biden, things have changed, and they talk a lot to Europe. And they, in particular, they nominated Jonathan Cantor at the DOJ, Dina Khan at the Federal Trade Commission. These are a new generation of people which are much more on the progressive side, put it this way, and they're following our European approach. So if you take the US bloc and the EU together, is quite powerful, although nothing comparable, again, to these giants. Again, sometimes it's useful to have some order of magnitude. The market capitalization of the GAFAM today is $10 trillion. That's basically twice the size of the GDP of Japan. So, and it's a half of the GDP of China. But anyway, so there are sufficiently big blocks. The thing that China, and I mentioned, has enacted very swiftly a very strong legislation, pro-competitive, aligned with Europe, is important, because we can always think that China has other reasons. Perhaps it's those super rich people. The Jack Ma became a threat to the Communist Party, perhaps. But China also understood that the incentive to innovate of the giants are not good for society. So they went back to trying to get back, inject some competition, which is what all we are trying to do. But I will try to respond to your point, Sergio, instead of giving predictions, which are always wrong. And this is an exercise for all the students in the audience. Let's try, paradoxically, to ignore the GAFAM, the Google, the Facebook. Let's, for a moment, let's put them aside. And let's think ourselves. Let's have a discussion. How do we see our digital future? Let's try to have a conversation on how we see ourselves in 10 years. How do we want to communicate? Through a single monopolist? Through competing firms? How do we want to have our own digital exchanges? How do we want to shop online? How do we want to interact with each other? Let's think about our digital future. Because this is an abstract discussion, I understand, and it's an abstract discussion that will have different views. we will be very different from each other. But this discussion is essential, because once we converge somehow to an idea of where we would like to be 10 years from now, say, it's an hypothetical example, I understand, but only by, which means talk to the economists, to the lawyers, but also to the civil society, bring in different views, because it's essential to listen to privacy experts, to computer scientists, really listen to a lot of people. And then make this hypothetical exercise about our digital future. And once we have this discussion, most likely the Facebook, the Google will be there for sure. They will play a role, but all our life doesn't need to depend on them. So I'm to open up the conversation, because otherwise there is a risk of solutionism. The risk of solutionism is that we take for granted that Google will be Google forever, Facebook will be Facebook forever, and that's what they want as well, no? Because now they can manage this little change which is happening. Instead, by being more ambitious, and then we can see where we want to go. In the past, we had some role of the public sector, for instance. We invented places like libraries, the church, the piazza. So we invented things that don't exist really in the digital context. So with the exception of Wikipedia, there is no other thing. But it's only by having this ambition, I would think greater ambition of thinking about ourselves 10 years from now, that perhaps by imagining a possible digital future, we see also answers to our digital present. If you don't do that example, we're already pre-directed, preordained in a certain that direction. And I'm sure that in the audience, there is so much talent and new ideas that we need to listen to.
Robert has raised his hand again. Robert.
Yes,
Robert,
just
30
something.
seconds before, it's 15 seconds
just
now.
Combining the points here of Sergio and Tommaso, I happened to start my lawyer's career as a competition 24 years ago at the DG Competition Merger Task Force. And I want to make one point here, which is, I think it's very, very interesting, which Tommaso brought up. When I was a junior lawyer there 24 years ago, I asked the senior lawyers working at the Merger Task Force of the European Commission when I was a trainee, what is your burden of proof in order to prohibit? Robert, it's very easy. When in doubt, prohibit. They said that unofficially, but that's how they applied it. And then they lost lots of cases in a row. And then the Merger Task Force was closed. But in my view, what has happened a little bit here, correct me if I'm wrong, is that in competition law, you have high burden of proof when it comes to cartels. It's a Honorary case of 2011, European Court of Justice. It's a high burden of proof. But for some reason also, people have thought that, buying a company should be a human right, and you have a high burden of proof. Personally, I don't think it's a human right issue to buy a company. So I think it's become so difficult to prove dominance that it's very difficult to prohibit. So I think it's a very interesting point Tommaso made here about actually we should have a reversal of burden of proof when it comes to mergers. So that's my input.
And we are in agreement.
Yes.
Yes, we don't have time for more questions. I have myself had a question to Tommaso on how he would apply a reversal of, on how and if we could apply a reversal of proofs to the daily lives of public procurers that are engaged either ex ante or ex post with preventing or punishing cartels, but there is no time, and I will ask him privately and then use it in use his wisdom for my next slides in the course. Tommaso, this was a wonderful moment for all. You have set the standards for this master in a fantastic way. Thank you so much also for mentioning for your job itself the importance of multidisciplinarity, which is a core principle of the master. We had a delightful, very important honorary lecture, and we thank you so much, and we hope to see you especially very soon in Rome, Tommaso. A lot of people are applauding, not just Sergio.
Ciao a tutti.
All the best.
Grazie,
ciao.
grazie. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Grazie.
Grazie a voi.
So don't go away. Don't go away. A very important moment is coming in right now. All the papers are going down here. And let me say how delighted I am that we're entering also the phase that is traditional and customary to our opening ceremony of welcoming one by one our 31 in this year 10th edition IMPPM students. I will introduce them by name, and we have already made an agreement that they will forgive me if I don't pronounce properly fully their name, even though I have worked hard on it. And they will tell us a little bit, not too slowly, because 31 is a big number, about where they come from, where they work, and what is the reason why they are here, what they basically their expectations about the master. And so I am going to start by calling upon Aya Abu Ganmi to talk to us. Aya.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good night.
Hi.
Good evening. Okay, so I am Aya Abu Ganmi from Jordan. I'm 27 years old, holding a bachelor's degree in computer information systems. Started my career journey in 2015 as a UX and UI designer in the private sector, and currently working as a software product trainer and quality analyst in governmental procurement department. And yeah, I'm really glad to be one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Aya, for being here. Thank you so much. Rahida Ahmad.
Is Raida.
You got me.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raida Ahmad. I am Jordanian. I am a pharmacist. I have been graduated from the Faculty of Pharmacy in the University of Jordan in 1998. I have started my career in the public domain before 5 to 6 years, as I was hired as a technical auditor in government procurement department. I want to offer my great thanks for EBRD and Tel Vergata University to give us this big opportunity to join this great adventure. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, and welcome to IMPPM. Yara Al-Azrai. Al-Azrai.
Yes, good evening. I'm Yara Al-Azrai from Jordan. I'm working in the government procurement department, the head of the financial auditing section. I have a bachelor degree in accounting since 1998. It's a great opportunity to attend a reputed university like yours, and to meet such great professors and staff. Thank you so much for the university and for the EBRD for this scholarship. I'm sure it will be a great journey, and we are looking forward to it with pride and enthusiasm. That's all. Thank you.
Welcome, Yara. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aya Al-Ghazawi.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Professor. I'm Engineer Haya Ghazawi. I'm the manager of tender procurement at the Ministry of Water and Irrigation. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to be with you and to be a student in your university. I would like to thank you and thank EBRD for such an opportunity. I'm looking forward to reach the last step of this program and up till defending our thesis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aya, for being here in the Master IMPPM. Basma Al-Mutlaq.
Yes, Professor. Good evening for all. First of all, I would like to thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Basma Al-Mutlaq from Jordan. I am holding a bachelor degree in actuarial science. I have 14 experience. I have 14 years of experience, especially in the field of statistical analysis and also institution development. My work was in the central departments of procurement in Jordan here. I am a head of information and drug security at the Directorate of Medicines Procurement at the Government Procurement Department. I'm really sincerely appreciate your efforts, all of you, the university, and also the donors and all of yours. Thank you so much. It's a big and great opportunity to be one of you. Thanks you.
Thank you, Basma. Thank you, Basma. Nida Al-Shayeb.
Good evening, everybody. I am Nida Al-Shayeb. I am from Jordan. I am a pharmacist. I am working now in Prince Hamza Hospital as a procurement office. Actually, I am abroad of being one of the students in this master. And I am looking forward to see all of you, professors, colleagues, and also all of you in Rome in July. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nida. And welcome to IMPPM. Iman Al-Shobaki.
Good evening. Hi. First of all, I'm very glad to be here. It's a very lovely meeting. My name is Iman Al-Shobaki. I am from Jordan. I have graduated from Mu'ta University, holding a Bachelor of CS, Computer Science, Programming. Now I work at the Government Procurement Department. I'm very, 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 very glad to be here again and to be one of you. I am here to improve myself and encourage my children to be continue in their studies. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Iman. Zolzaya Ba-Atar.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Zolzaya Batar. I'm from Mongolia, and I work in the capital city governor's office of Mongolia. The capital city is Ulaanbaatar, and I'm responsible for the project management and regulation, which is especially the development projects, which is funded by international organizations and donors. I do have 25 years working experience, both for the private and public sector. I'm the Bachelor of Foreign Relations, and also I'm Bachelor of Business Administration, and my jury is accountant. And I'm very glad to be one of you here. And I do have, as I mentioned before, I do have two goals studying in Tor Vergata University. One is, of course, to improve my qualification, and the second, which is the most important, is having the friends from the many countries, all of you, and all of you are welcome to my beautiful country, Mongolia, including the professors and everybody.
And I must say, Zolzaya, that until last year, when we were doing these presentations, we were saying students coming from 42 countries, while this year we have said 44. And let me say how delighted we are for the first time to host representatives, ambassador of such an important country, on behalf also of Jack, of Mongolia. We are delighted to have you here representing for the first time your beautiful country with another colleague of yours in this program. Thank you so much for accepting to come here at IMPPM.
Yes, thank you. And also on this occasion, I do have my great sincere appreciation for the EBRD, for the scholarship for this.
Thank you so much. Ons Buhatas.
Yes, Professor, thank you so much. My name is Ons Buhatas. I'm from Tunisia. I got my bachelor degree in accountancy, and I got my master degree in international finance and trade. Then I was accepted and I honored to study at the National School of Administration of Tunis, and I got the diploma of Public Service Counselor. I started then my career at the Ministry of Vocational Training and Employment. I was affected to the cabinet of the minister, and I was in charge of international cooperation. I had the opportunity there to deal with different international partners such as European Union, French Agency of Development, different United Nations agency, the FGB also. And then I moved to the Ministry of Development, Investment and International Cooperation to strengthen my knowledge and have more expertise in the field of international cooperation. Now I'm a director at the ministry with a new nomination. It's now the Ministry of Economy and the Plan. And that's all. I'm very glad to be part and very honored by the scholarship of IBRD. And I'm looking forward to learn from my colleagues, from their experience in different fields, also from my prestigious teachers, and looking forward to have an expertise in the field of public procurement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hans, for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for you. Thank you.
Your, I should say our tutor, Alice Castro.
Thank you, Professor. Good evening, everybody. I am Alice Castro. I'm from Italy, and I am indeed the tutor of this edition of the Master. Actually, my working experience in procurement is limited since I am 23 years old, and I have almost an academic knowledge of this field. During my studies at university, which had been in International Relations as a bachelor degree and a Master of Science in European Economy and Business Law here in the University of Rome Tor Vergata, I had the chance to gain various insights about this complex and fascinating field of public procurement. And especially it was thanks to Professor Piga's lectures that I really understood the importance of this function, and that really became passionate about this topic, and therefore I decided to enroll at IMPPM Master, and then I was selected to be your tutor. And let me say that it is I'm really grateful for all of this, and I'm really happy to be part of this network of professionals and students and professors from all over the world, and really look forward to enrich my knowledge and my competencies in public procurement, and to know all of you better. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Alice, and good luck with this wonderful experience. Milica Celic.
Hello, good day, everyone. My name is Milica Celic, and I live in Belgrade, Serbia. I hold a degree in the field of law and a degree in the field of strategic management. I'm working in the public sector project implementation unit established by the government of Serbia. Well, I see this master program as an opportunity for an important step forward in my career development, as well as an opportunity to become a part of the international network of public procurement experts. But most of all, to become a friend with all of you, and look forward to meeting you all in July in Rome. All the best.
Thank you so much, Milica, and welcome to IMPPM. Delighted to have you.
Thank you.
Alessandro Di Fabio.
Hello, it's Alessandro Di Fabio from Italy. I'm 39 years young engineer from Rome, and I'm working for an engineering consultancy active in the field of projects funded by IFIS, and I cover the position of proposal and project manager for my company. What can I say? I'm very happy and delighted to be part of such a diversified class of professionals in the end, and I'm very I forward to exchange my experience and knowledge together with my other teammates and professors to achieve the best preparation on this field. And let me say a special thanks to our to our tutor Alice, that she is really patient with all of us, and I hope she will be kind and patient till the end of the master. Alice, hold fast. Thank you to all. Enjoy.
Thank you, Alessandro. Omar El Barraj.
You are muted, Omar.
Omar, I think you should unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. So this is Omar Al-Barraj. Yes. This is Omar Al-Barraj. I'm from Lebanon. I'm a computer and communication engineer with the Master 2 degree in telecommunication. My current work is head of technical department IT in the Central Tender Board of Lebanon. Okay, I'm really pleased to meet you all, and I have to share you with some meanings I gave, like a chance. We cannot like the chance is not something by chance. So a chance is an opportunity plus some competencies. So when together is met, we get the chance of getting a job or an opportunity like this master degree. So I'm really grateful, and I think the dream or the dream was like coming true, and I hope we all get our dreams come true. I thank you again, EBRD, Tor Vergata University, and all of you for this grateful and fruitful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Omar, and welcome to IMPPM. Ilham Khribi.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ilham Khribi from Tunisia. I'm a general auditor. I work at the High Authority of Public Procurement at the Presidency of Government. It's a pleasure for me to join the 10th generation of IPPM. This master allow me to share experience with colleagues from different country and different culture, and make know better from professor, and I'm sure it will be a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ilham, and welcome to IMPPM. Ala Abushi.
Good evening. My name is Hala Haboushi. I'm from Lebanon, holding a electrical and electronics engineering diploma from the Lebanese University with master in industrial control. I joined the public service in 2008 with the North Lebanon Water Establishment, where I was a head of department, engineer head of department, and I have experience in communication, external relations, and much more disciplinary in management, more than technical. But I started my career or my journey in procurement since 2012, and because we had a need to organize this department, having lack of respecting any procedures and making the purchasing in a big mess. So for me now, the opportunity of joining this program is a big honor for me and a big challenge also. And I want also to express my sincere appreciation for the EBRD for offering the scholarship and this purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Hala. Delighted to have you here in the program. Wonderful to have you. I was obviously wrong. I always do at least one mistake during these opening events. It is not that we have only 2 new countries. We have the beauty of 4 new countries. And the second one with a new representative and a new ambassador for an important country in Asia is exactly Nurul, that comes from Bangladesh. Nurul, we are delighted to have you for yourself, but obviously for having expanded the scope of the program across the world. Nurul, I give you the floor.
Okay, thank you. I am Nurul Islam from Bangladesh. I am a procurement professional. I have completed my bachelor, then master's, then MBA, then diploma in public procurement from Italy, Turin, then completed my master's in public procurement and supply chain from Bangladesh, Brak University, then completed my membership in Chartered Procurement Professional, Institute of Chartered Procurement and Supply from UK. Then I become Chartered Procurement and Supply Professional. Then I completed my PhD also. I am a procurement professional working as in a public department, that is Bangladesh High Tech Park Authority. I have 20 years of experience in public procurement, including Bangladesh and Afghanistan. I did I was more than 2 years in Afghanistan as international procurement advisor. What is the motivation for this degree? This international masters in public procurement was my dream degree, because I am working with public procurement without public qualification at all. So that was my dream degree, and I was awarded this scholarship from ISA ID Authority. I would like to thank that authority to offer and to allocate this award, this scholarship. I also would like to thank Gustavo Piga for selecting me for this degree, and I am very much delighted to have this degree because it was my dream. Thank you so much, and especially thanks to Alisa. She has provided a lot of support to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nurul. Thank you so much. Zrojiddin Zurayev.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rojan Jurayev. I'm from Uzbekistan. I am 29 years old. I'm working in the Ministry of Finance in Uzbekistan. I am chief specialist in the public procurement department, mainly focused on healthcare. So I have holding the degree of banking finance in the field of banking finance. So I have been working from 2016 to now. I am very happy to join this team and to learn from the other specialists.
Thank you, Zrojiddin. You're mute now. You become mute. I don't know if you had finished or not.
No, I guess someone needs me. So thank you for the opportunity to join this team.
Jurayev, yes, I mispronounced your last name. I'm sorry for that. Yes, welcome to IMPPM, Zrojiddin.
Thank you.
Kumoyun Ayrulayev, or Ayrulayev.
The first one was true.
The first one, I knew it.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Humayun Khairulayev. I'm from Uzbekistan. I got the bachelor degree in business administration. Currently, I'm working as a deputy head of division, public procurement department, Minister of Finance. I'm also head of project office in Minister of Finance. I'm really happy to be here, and I believe that it will be a good opportunity to exchange the knowledge and learn best foreign experience in the field of public procurement. Thank you.
We are also very happy that you're here, Kumayun. Thank you so much for joining the IMPPM team. Marina Kim.
Good evening, Professor. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry for my video turn off. I'm today a little bit sick. My name is Marina. I'm from Kazakhstan, and I'm a graduate from Gumilev Eurasian University with a degree in management. And now I'm working in the Ministry of Finance, specialist in the Department of Public Procurement, and I'm glad to be here with this course IMPPM. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you so much, Marina. Welcome to the team. Try to recover fast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All the best. All the best. Thank you. Ivana Krashevats.
Thank you, Professor. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ivana Krashevats. I come from Croatia. I'm a graduated lawyer. I worked formerly, and now I work currently since 2011 in State Commission for supervision of public procurement procedures. Our main task is dealing with appeals in public procurement, concessions, and public-private partnership. I'm very honored to be the part of this challenging program. I wanted, the main reason why I joined was because I want to widen my experience. I'm sure I will learn a lot from all the experts and also the students when we exchange our experiences. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ivana, for choosing us. Thank you so much. And welcome to IMPPM. Shaka Koroma. Shaka.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I am Shaka Kurma from Sierra Leone, on the west coast of Africa. I am a graduate. I have my undergraduate degree in biological sciences and then got a postgraduate diploma in procurement and then a master's in procurement, supply chain and logistics. And I come from the private sector and with over 10 years experience in banking, and just recently, about 3-4 years ago, started working in the public sector. I work currently at the National Public Procurement Authority, which is the regulatory body for public procurement in Sierra Leone. And I am here really delighted because the very first time I spoke to Gustavo, he reminded me of how beautiful this experience will be. And it's been just a few days, but I must say that I've enjoyed my time, and the diversity of the class, the diversity of the class, the warmth of the people, Alicia, Christina, Sergio, Benetti, and the rest of the team. Thank you so much for all the work you do. I'm enjoying my time. Thank you too.
Thank you for choosing us, Shaka. Delighted to have you here as representative of your country. Edward Masie, as I was saying, there were 4 new countries. We are delighted that you will be the first ambassador of Zambia, Edward. Welcome to IMPPM. Edward, can you hear me? I don't know if you're mute or you're not here anymore. I don't see Edward. Anyway, we will try to reach him later. Bessem Barek. Bessem, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bessem Barak. I am from Tunisia. I am a director at the Ministry of Economy and Planning. Formerly, I was a deputy director at the Ministry of Defense in charge of the foreign procurement. I am graduate from the École Nationale d'Administration. I have a bachelor degree in public law and a master of public administration from the Dubai School of Government. I'm glad to be part of this wonderful and very interesting program. Thank you very much.
We are delighted to have you, Bassem. Thank you for being at IMPPM and welcome. First student ever, first ambassador ever of Turkmenistan. Thank you so much for being with us, Suray. Suray Nurtayeva.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I am Suray from Turkmenistan. I work at the Central Bank of Turkmenistan. And I want to thank and express my gratitude to you, Professor Pigo, and EBRD for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Suray. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for choosing IMPPM. I now call upon Bolorma Rensen Rebu, the second representative of Mongolia. Bolorma, very, very happy and proud to have you here.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Bolorma Rensen Rebu. Greeting from Mongolia. I hold my Bachelor of Arts in Law in 2002 and the Master of Arts in Law in 2010 in Mongolia. And after that, I hold the Master of Urban Administration and Planning at the University of Seoul, South Korea in the 19. And I have been working Capital City Governor's Office since 2013. Before this, I was a researcher of the civil and economic law sector in the National Legal Institute. Also, I have 18 years of experience as a lawyer, including 6 years of experience procurement. I have chosen IMPPM to learn about international public procurement and best practices. And I hope this program will improve my experience and it will have effective impact on my work. And I'm joyful part of this program. I wish you all the best. And thank you for giving me this opportunity who initiate and sponsored and supporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bolorma. We're delighted to have you here. Mune Slema. You are mute. You need to unmute yourself. I see you.
Good evening, Professor. Good evening, everyone. I am Muna Slama from Tunisia. I have got a bachelor degree in economic and social management. After that, I have been graduated from the National School of Administration of Tunisia as a public service advisor. In 2005, I have joined the public administration, and currently I work as General State Controller in the Presidency of the government and as an advisor of some public companies. Really, I am glad to be with you and to be a student of the 10th IMPP edition. Really, Professor, I want to thank you for offering me this opportunity and this chance to study such famous and important master. Thank you for all. Thank you to the EBRD. Also, I want to thank Alice for her effort to help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mune. Thank you so much for joining IMPPM. Rajenka Subacic. Rajenka, you here?
Hello, yes, I hear you and I'm here.
Greetings from Bosnia and Herzegovina. My name is Draženka Subasic. I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm currently director of the public institution here in Zenica, which main mission is taking care of children without parental care. I completed my graduate and postgraduate study in University of Sarajevo at Faculty of Economics and Business. My master thesis was connected to financing public projects by issuance of municipal bonds. At this moment, I'm also appointed as court expert for economy, specialized for field of market economy, finance and accounting. Actually, I can say that my field of interest is financial management, accounting, and public procurement. I have 5 years of professional experience in public procurement in public institution that I'm working currently. And I have more than 15 years of professional experience in project management, as well as business diagnostic, budgeting, and financial management. I'm really glad to have opportunity to be today with all of us. And thank you very much for choosing me to be a part of IMPPM program. And I'm really honored that I'm granted with EABRD scholarship, and I hopefully will get the best learning experience, and I already got many friends.
Thank you, Draženka. Welcome to IMPPM. Delighted to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lawal Temitayo.
Yes, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Temitayo Lawal from Nigeria. I have a first degree in computer science with accounting. I have a master's in business administration and master's in sustainable development practice. I work as part of the implementing agency for rural access and mobility project, an infrastructural project being financed by World Bank and French Development Agency. And I joined the IMPPM to broaden my knowledge base on procurement, and a special thanks to the management of the university and the African Development Bank for the great opportunity to be part of the 10th generation team. Thank you.
Thank you, Temitayo, for being here. We're delighted to have you. Really, welcome. Dancho Vodeničarski.
Hi all, Dancho Vodeničarski from Skopje, Macedonia, graduated economist with just over 20 years of working experience, out of which 10 in the private sector, mainly in the field of administration and finance. Since 2009, I was working in the Ministry of Education and Science on the implementation of the instrument for pre-accession assistance. And since 2018, I am working in the public transport company for implementation of projects under the EBRD. I expect first to get a more structural and, let's say, formal education in the field of public procurement management, of course, by expanding my views and gain new skills and competences, but most of it, I find the best benefit to be part of this new network of colleagues, professionals, and friends. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dancho. Welcome to IMPPM. Fida Youssef.
Good evening. I'm Fida Youssef from Jordan. First, let me take this opportunity to thank you, Professor Bega, for this nice meeting. Thank you. I'm a pharmacist. I have graduated from the University of Jordan, Faculty of Pharmacy, 2004. I'm working in the Jordan University Hospital since 2005. My experience was in the beginning in pharmacies. Then in the last 6 years, my experience was in public procurement. Since I'm a member of the Central Tender Committee and GPD Governmental Procurement Department. Now I'm head of drugstores at Jordan University Hospital at the Tender and Supply Department since 6 years. I'm interested in joining the IMPPM in order to improve my knowledge and skills in procurement, since public procurement plays an essential role in public sectors. Thank you for this meeting.
Thank you so much, Fida, and welcome to IMPPM.
Thank you, Professor.
Hadi Younes.
Yes, good evening. My name is Hadi Younes from Lebanon. I have been graduated in Bachelor of Law from Beirut Arabic University. I work in the public sector since 1999. My 12 years ago, I spent it in the procurement field. As a chef of procurement department in a public entity, and that give me some of experience about Lebanon market and the private sector's view about the sector, the public sector, and that put me in a critical situation when I try to run a deal every purchasing. So I'm glad to be one of your big family. Where can I enhance my skills to achieve my aim and do my duty for my country? I promised one of Prof to do my hard work, and I in this adventure, and I will do. Thank you.
Adi, thank you so much. Unfortunately, Edward seems to be unreachable right now, and he's the first representative of Zambia, and I'm delighted that he will join. Certainly must have had some connection issues. Now that we're switching to the second part, I don't want you to lose what has happened in the past 40 to 45 minutes. There is a very important reason why we dedicate such a big part of our opening ceremony to listening to you, to where you come from, to why you came here. It's not for the few people that are here, in addition to all of us, to listen to this event. Certainly, it says something for us about how much you matter for us. But frankly speaking, also on behalf of Jack, I need to tell you that you must have listened very carefully to each one of you presenting herself or himself today, because this is the most incredible part of this master. This is where the power of this master lies. This difference of provenance, whether cultural, whether national, whether professional, is going to be your incredible strength that will leave an incredible path for the future generations, because it is this strength that will make the master even more reputed, even more interesting next year, thanks to all the debates that we will have through your great professionalism in the class. I hope you have listened very carefully to how your power resonated in this room. It was not, you should not let it go lightly. This is your provenance, your CVs, your culture, your nationality is what is going to make for everybody else this master a unique experience. And I say this on behalf of Jack, who I'm sure agrees, and myself and all of the staff of the master IMPPM. Thank you so much. We're extremely honored to have such an incredible team to lead us into 2022 with this new edition. And I want to make sure that you had the perception of what went on in the past 45 minutes. Now is the time of the brief institutional address. Oh, yes, Jack, sorry. I'm glad that you want to intervene.
Yeah, sorry, very, very quickly. I just wanted to sort of emphasize exactly what you were saying, because at the end of the day, obviously, a lot of learning is going to come from professors, but a great deal of learning is going to come from you. And it's very impressive when I listen to everyone, and I couldn't agree more with what Gustavo was saying, the importance of you being here, you know, the importance of you sharing your experience, and it's very clear that you have a fantastic base of experience. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. The tape by the institutional address by Dr. Cascone of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who supports the master. I ask kindly the staff if we can.
Distinguished speakers, guests, students, alumni, on behalf of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, I'm honored to be with you today at the opening ceremony of the 10th edition of the International Master in Public Procurement Management, jointly supported by the University of Tor Vergata and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Let me take this opportunity, first of all, to thank the organizers of this ceremony. A special thank also to Professor Tommaso Valletti, already Chief Economist at the EU DG Competition, for bringing his experience and his inspiring words today. A warm welcome above all to all students. I'm confident that your professional skills will benefit highly from this master, and that the expertise you will acquire with it will be of great value for your countries. Making public procurement more effective and efficient is a key challenge for all countries in the world, especially in the extraordinary times we are living. This master responds to the ever-increasing demand of professionals capable of addressing change and challenge of public procurement as a strategic function for good governance. This is crucial to maximize the effectiveness of public and private investments. The Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation is proud to contribute to the scholarship for the master's program at the University of Tor Vergata and for the executive masters at the Belgrade University. We are proud to have you enrolled in the International Master. I wish you a very successful academic year and above all a brilliant career at the national and international level. Thank you very much.
There we go. I also wanted to thank profusely the representative of the Tunisia Embassy in Rome, in Italy, for their presence here. I saw just now their message on the chat, and I want to say how honored we are of the presence of the institutions of all the countries that the students represent here in this master. Now an important, very important moment. Yes, it is true that the master is very much in your hands, but as Jack just said, the teacher's role is extremely important. So how happy I am that Isabel Rosa of DG GROW European Commission, a great expert of digital procurement, who's going to enrich your days in that module, and a great friend of many years that every year renews her friendship to the master, like the many teachers that do the same every year, is here to represent them all and wish you a welcome from the side of the teachers. Isabel, great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Gustavo. My pleasure to be here. A huge pleasure indeed. Nice to see you all. I would like to say to you a few words, and by starting to say that this day marks the beginning of a new adventure for many of you. All adventures present many challenges and many surprises, but in this case, I think many of the surprises will be frankly positive. I've been part of this project since 2015, and one of the aspects that fascinates me is the family atmosphere that is created in this course. I have no doubt that this will happen again this year, and that is not easy to find in a master course or a master degree. But beyond this very particular environment, you will have the opportunity to discuss many of the dimensions of public procurement, which is an area that is still undervalued in the public sector. Public procurement is, in my view, one of the most difficult administrative areas in the public sector. It is extremely regulated, cumbersome, and bureaucratic, but is also an area that allows extraordinary things to be done. from the construction of hospitals through the implementation of new technologies in the public administration, many sectors are affected by what is bought and how is bought. It is a job that comes with enormous responsibility. And with this course, I'm convinced that you can be an agent of change by bringing value to this area. I see the university above all as a means for us to learn to think, to consolidate our position and ideas in different matters. I dare to say that today, more than ever, this is what we need most in a world where we are constantly bombarded with all kinds of information without being able to distinguish what is right or what is wrong. Learning to think is critical. The way I see it, continuous education will be a must in the future. Jobs will be transformed, mainly due to the introduction of digital automation, and we need to keep up in terms of knowledge and skills. With this, I'm not saying that the future will be worse. It will naturally just be different. But going back to the beginning of my words, with this adventure, many possibilities will be created, and my message to you is enjoy it. Learn, but have fun as well. Joy is an essential part of life that is very difficult to find, but is our fuel to be strong, to deal with the craziness and the sadness that surround us every day. This morning, when thinking, what can I tell you? I must confess I was struggling a little bit considering the recent events in Europe. My main message that I want to leave to you is this course is a privilege for all of us. For those that are teaching, for those that are learning, in many moments, we will not be able to distinguish roles because we are all learning and we are all teaching. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. Welcome in the name of all the teachers to the 10 editions of this master degree. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for these beautiful words on behalf of all the students and reminding us about the concept of joy. Actually, not the concept, but the feeling of joy. So important for us all. Thank you for this wonderful. I'm sure that all the teachers that teach in IMPPM feel extremely represented. And by the way, I see that Aisha Nadar and Aldo Ravazzi are still here, have been here all the time. And also, I thank also all of them for being here today with us. Thank you, Isabel, for this wonderful speech on behalf of everyone.
Thank you so much.
And now another very, very important moment. I told you that there would be an handing off of the baton from the previous generation that would be also formal. So Baba, 9th generation IMPPM representative, why don't you do your job? We're all expecting your words. Thank you for being here, Baba.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Professor Piga. And thank you, everyone. I know where to start. Good afternoon from Gambia, the smiling coast of Africa, and anywhere you are. Our colleagues, my colleagues of the 9th generation and also the 10th generation, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure and honor to deliver this year's handing of baton speech on behalf of my colleagues. While I consider this as to be a conferment of privilege, I'm humbled by the task of reminding my colleagues and our distinguished professors of the extraordinary struggle, devotion, and commitment since the commencement of this program. It has been an interaction of different people from diverse socio-cultural and linguistic backgrounds in the globe. But that difference in our background and diverse orientation had indeed helped to create a new bond amongst people drawn from different parts of the world. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to recognize and appreciate the efforts of all our great professors and the management of the university. Thank you so much to all our professors for positively impacting knowledge in us. I can assure you this knowledge that we learn through our program will not only impact positively in our current job, but it also prepare us better for our future responsibility, especially in the area of public procurement. I wish to thank the University of Tovagata for awarding me with the first ever as a day scholarship to pursue this life-changing master's program. Thank you so much, Professor Piga, Professor Annalisa, our ever-smiling Christina, and Sergio. Thank you so very much, and all the staff and employees of the IMPPM program. Special thanks and appreciation to EBRD for the scholarships awarded to the candidates of the 9th edition. To the government and institutions that sponsor some candidates, Islamic Development Bank, African Development Bank, and all other partners, I say a very big thank you. And I assure you all that you'll gain value for your money invested in us. My colleagues, as we defended our thesis this morning, on behalf of my colleagues, we thank each and everyone who have contributed in one way or the other for this great success. And to my fantastic, committed, and hardworking survivors of the 9th edition of IMPPM Generation. In the name of, first I'll try to mention all the names. Maria Sara, who is our tutor, as called the angel. Basma, Bisara, Pagana, Guzal, Isa, Evelina, Ivana, Loretta, MD Sumanto, Miss Lynn, Melita, Maureen, Muna, Murad, Naila, Nazarov, Nihal, Najib, Noor, Nukis, Reza, Suha, Wasim, and Iran. Thank you. Thank you so very much. It is indeed the greatest pleasure to have crossed paths with you all. It was a difficult journey, but we have come this far with courage and determination. At a time when the world is faced with a deadly virus which ruins lives and changes the normal order. Despite the abnormal circumstances, we have had quality time of adequately acquiring knowledge and sharing experiences, learning about diverse cultures and values which punctuated this journey with indelible memories. Justifiable by our shared history, at this level of our academic orientation, our individual and collective contribution to this world will never be measured by how many degrees we receive again, but how many times we graduate with great accolades, but rather how much we utilize the knowledge gained in this university and contribute to our society and make a difference in the lives of others. Today, we are handing off this baton to the 10th generation of IMPPM with pride and joy. History will fairly remember us that in the face of adversity and uncertainty, we have made a worthy run to the farthest stretch of our limit. And just in an athletic relay, it is time for the next set of people to begin their run. In that regard, I warmly welcome the 10th edition of the IMPPM to the IMPPM family. As I welcome you in this family, you must be helpful to one another as people belonging to this great university and sharing a similar vision of achieving remarkable success as group of people united by one universe. I encourage you to share your knowledge and experience and other relevant materials that are beneficial to your individual and collective growth and understanding of global issues. I wish you all the best of luck in your academic journey and professional life. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Baba. It was a gracious and extremely important moment for all of us. I am sure the 9th generation felt represented fully by your words, and the 10th generation felt even more welcomed. Thank you so much, Baba. And I hope to see you soon in July in Rome for celebrating finally together, all of us. Last but not least, we close with the cherry on the cake. And let me say how delighted I am that the 3rd president of the Alumni Association is here to close this event as a meaningful symbol of the importance for us of the Alumni Association. And let me say how ecstatic I am that Anadi Al-Nabulsi has chosen last year to become, even in moments in which her professional life was leading her to great successes, to even contribute to the growth in an incredible way of the Alumni Association activity and the services it provides to the students and to the members of the Alumni Association, reinforcing the ties across so many countries, across so many generations of students. So Anadi, this is your time to close the event, send the final message. I am delighted that you are the person to do it, and I leave you the floor, thanking you for being here also tonight. Thank you so much, Anadi.
Thank you so much for these nice words, which I am honored and proud to hear. And I'm also very pleased to close this interesting evening with all these students, professors, and guests. Good evening to everyone, professors, donors, guests, 10th edition students. I'm very honored to be with you today, beginning as an IMPPM colleague of you, a former graduate of the second IMPPM generation, and currently as the president of the IMPPM Alumni Association for the mandate 2021-2022. The IMPPM knowledge and experience is an extraordinary experience and understanding for each participant. Surely it gives the participants a very high academic knowledge and practice in public procurement. Also give the chance for the participants to share, exchange their experience in public procurement between each others by elaborate a common language among public procurers from different nationalities. In addition to the above, the idea of the IMPPM Alumni Association to promote a continuous training and communication for the graduates. So in this occasion, I would like to introduce the IMPPM Alumni Association to all of you by giving a brief of whom we are. IMPPM Alumni Association is an Italian non-profit organization created in 2016 by a group of IMPPM who intended to create a social network to keep in touch their master colleagues and to share best practices and ideas on public procurement with procurement professionals coming from many parts of global. As of now, the association counts more than 260 members who have attended the IMPPM master program either in Rome or in Belgrade. The main objective of our alumni association is to provide an opportunity for procurement professionals to enhance their knowledge and skills in procurement, which will assist them in personal and professional development and to foster networking among procurement professionals worldwide. To this regard, the activities of the association includes the organization of workshops and social events on procurement-related topics. Since the association was established about 5 years ago, we have grown and set all the bases and roots for an effective functioning of the association. All professionals in the field of public procurement with different years of experience and academic background coming from more than 30 different countries, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Balkan. One of our first responsibilities in the Alumni Association is to promote this unique experience in order to expand the scope of beneficiaries, especially for those who are working in the field of public procurement in their countries, and to motivate all the graduates to be members in our Alumni Association. In our Alumni Association, we are continuously trying to find all the possible ways to keep networking among us, as to set a database of the graduates in both programs, Rome and Belgrade, having an official website with an electronic platform to always communicate with everything related to public procurement, update information on good practices in procurement, share information more often for job positions related to public procurement all around the world, and for sure organizing once or twice a year webinars and conferences, hopefully in presence from now on after the COVID, as the 4th workshop on contemporary issues in procurement practice, which will take place on the 4th of July this year. Despite of everything I have talked about and mentioned about the professionality, the knowledge, and continuous training in public procurement, we must not forget that IMPPM is based on social and human relations and on our being a large family that communicates constantly. At the end, I would like to congratulate the students of the 9th edition for the achievement of their journey in the IMPPM, and to wish the 10th generation to complete this extraordinary experience successfully, keeping in mind that after this success, be ready to feel the deep impact of this master in your working life, in your career, and the extent of confidence in your ability to raise and develop your work and the work of your institutions in the field of public procurement. And don't forget how much lucky you will be with a big IMPPM family that you will have when you finish and you complete your master program. Don't forget that after passing and completing your journey, we will be waiting for you in the IMPPM Alumni Association. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you for these wonderful words. Thank you for this final. We will be waiting for you, which I think is one of the most beautiful things that we could close the event with. I see that, and I know that we will see you anyway in July in the 4th workshop. A very, very important moment to see us all. And thank you for organizing all these incredible numbers of events during the months of difficult times for all of us, keeping us connected with the several workshops and seminaries that the Alumni Association has launched under your presidency. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I see that Edward has arrived, and so maybe we have 1 minute since he's the ambassador of Zambia, the first student of Zambia ever. Edward, I don't know what happened, but you want to say a quick word about yourself?
Thank you very much, Professor. I think I had a challenge with internet. No wonder I went off. But I rushed quickly to where at least there's a stable.
Edward, it's best if you switch off the video.
Internet. Yes, of the team under this scholarship. Okay, you can get me now?
Yes. Edward, well, can you hear us? We gave it a try anyway. I'm delighted that we could at least.
Okay.
Oh, Edward, you're here.
I'm saying I'm very grateful to be part of. Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I'm saying I'm very grateful that I'm part of this 10th edition of International Masters in Public Procurement, and one of the first from the southern part of Africa, which is Zambia. I'm really, really grateful, and I'm looking forward to also learning more and sharing more ideas with my colleagues. Of course, I think on the way, if an opportunity is given to our 9th editions, we can consult more and get more of what they learn as we go forward. Otherwise, we are a good team. I think through the interactions that we've had with my colleagues, I've seen that it's a good team that we have. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we gave it a try. I am sure that he is welcome in the family symbolically too. It was very, very difficult to hear him. It was a wonderful day. Jack, I don't know if you're here.
I am here, definitely.
So I think we should thank the staff and everybody and Professor Castelli for organizing an incredible event today with, but I leave you the floor before saying goodbye, Jack.
Well, I will just very briefly say that it's been a wonderful experience this afternoon, as always, when we come together. It's just the beginning of a journey, and we still have a very nice road in front of us, all of us. And so much looking forward to meet you all and get to know you all, and be friends. Yeah. So looking forward to that. Thank you so much, everyone.
Friendship and respect. I think those are the two words that we will remember very much about today, and about what we heard, and about all the people who care. I hope you come out tonight going home having understood how many people care for you. We are, as I always say, we are highly imperfect. We make mistakes, but we do care tremendously. And where care comes responsibility, and you've seen what kind of web of relationships have been established across time and across countries, and how much you should feel comfortable in looking forward to a difficult, challenging experience, but also a moment, like Isabel said, a moment that can be prolonged as much as we want, of joy across ourselves. So on behalf of everyone here, see you soon in classroom. And thank you so much. We are very honored that you have chosen IMPPM. We feel stronger by the day having you here. Thank you all, and we look forward to spend many, many beautiful days to discuss about procurement, but also to live together this new adventure. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Annalisa, and all the best to everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, Gustavo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.